Shut it off, yes, please.
Wow, Kabbalah Satira, we're really selling out.
Now, I'll tell you, it's an interesting thing. Let me tell you that, if we were up to Kabbalah Satira Gemara, so we'd all say, Givaldik, right before Shavuos, up to Kabbalah Satira Gemara, and tomorrow starts about 5 blot of Kabbalah Satira.
Yeah, because Yaakov, today was very boring with the fields and the lines and the
Yeah, today's but tomorrow, Mamish starts the whole Shavuos Kabbalah Satira Sugya. It's tomorrow.
Today with the Klayim is very
Yeah, so now the question is, I know, so I'm saying if it would came out this last week, we'd all be like, you see, Basher, we're learning the right thing, yada, yada, yada. So now that it came out after Shavuos, now what do we say?
I'm saying the Maggid Shir should have told us earlier this week. We would have had good Torah for Yontif.
I don't know.
We would have flipped it.
Jacko, no matter what you do is not good, huh?
You're going to get blamed. No matter what happens, you get blamed.
Correct. Let me tell you. No, it's interesting that it's going to be this whole week is Kabbalah Satira. Unless it's Pshat that, the only way I could say Pshat is that it's Tashlumin. Some people don't say Tachman this whole week.
Really?
Right? Because you have 6 more days after Shavuos to bring the Karbanos. Right? So maybe that's Pshat.
Yaakov, what are we passing on making up the miscellaneous?
I don't see how you can make everybody go through 15 Parshias or whatever it is. 12 Parshias.
I heard it's a big hawk.
It's a big hawk. No, it's like anything else. Yeah, but once it's not, it's only the ones that the entire tzibur missed. The ones that if you just decided not to go to minyan and there's minyanim, then l'chayra.
So from Kisisa to Bahar to Bikukoisai, no?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see how you could do that to people. Be matri of them like that. Okay, so up the Mishnah, yeah? Pay dollar base. Keminayin la ruga. There is a one or two interesting Rashis that I thought about today that are negeya to Corona, believe it or not, in this whole Gemara of Klayim. But let's see. So talk to Mishnah. Minayin la ruga shisha shisha tvachim. Now, okay, so let's do Hakdama before this. So very quickly, Parrots, where's your mice? Parrots, where's your mice?
He's right here. He's getting himself some,
is going to open on June 8th. We have work to do still.
Oh, Aaron, give out. Aaron, how's camp? Is it opening camp? Mice is here.
All right. So anyway, so there's something called Klayim, right? Which you're not allowed to plant 2 types of vegetables. Vegetables is a Klayim derabanan. Klayim deraisa is really grapes and wheat, right? But anyway, so you're not allowed to plant them together. So the Mishnah and the Gemara is going to say an interesting thing. It's not about whether the roots under the ground actually intermingle. That the Gemara has no problems with. The Torah has no problems with that. It's only on the top of the ground. If it looks like it's intermingled, then it's a problem. Okay, so meaning it's interesting that under the ground where they're actually benefiting from each other, right? That's not a problem. It's only above ground the way it looks that it's a problem. Okay, I can't say I understand that conceptually exactly what the pshat in that is, but that's what it is. So basically the Gemara is going to try and figure out how many different types of vegetables can you stick into one little square, meaning the smallest amount of room, putting the most amount of vegetables. All right, so the Mishnah starts like this. Minayin la ruga shisha tvachim. If you have an aruga, I mean, it's a box essentially, but there's a fancy word for it. There's what do you do when you plant vegetables? It's called
a patch.
A patch? Vegetable patch, yeah. Very good, yeah. So we have a patch of vegetables That's 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim. So it's 36 square tfachim. You can plant in it 5 different vegetables. Dalit al dalit ruchas. You can have one set of vegetables on each north, south, east, and west, right? In the four directions. Aruga of the four directions of the patch. And you can plant one in the middle. The land will let out growth, and like a garden, the seeds will sprout. Which the Gemara says, my mashma, how do you get it?
So where are you up to?
On the Mishnah on Pei Dalet Amabez.
Sorry.
We just read the Gemara. We're just starting the Gemara. My mashma, how do you get it from the pasuk? So the word, right, the land is going to allow outgrowth. Toitzi is chad. Simcha is chad, because those are both singular. Hare trey, that gives you 2. Zero eha trey. Zero eha is plural, so that's 2. Ha'arba, tatzmiach, and then another time it says tatzmiach, chad, ha'chamisha. So you learn out that there's 5. Okay, so basically, the basic rule is that you need 3 tefachim in between each type of vegetable. By the way, these halachas do not apply in chutz la'aretz. People make this mistake. They think that klayim is a problem anywhere, right? This klayim, planting klayim, how do you call what's the grafting, right? Grafting two different types of vegetables is only an isser in Eretz Yisrael. This does not apply to chutz la'aretz. Okay, people, we think that Trumas and Meisters and all that apply. We understand, okay, that's in Eretz Yisrael, but out of Eretz Yisrael, it's not holy. But Klayim, if you're not allowed to graft vegetables, we think that should apply everywhere. It does not. It only applies in Eretz Yisrael, not in Chutz La'aretz.
So if you bring a grown Klayim seeds in America and you bring them to Eretz Yisrael and you plant them there, is that an issue?
If they're already grafted?
Meaning you already grafted in America, you have a whole orchard, you took some seeds from some of those payers, you brought them to Eretz Yisrael and you planted in Eretz Yisrael.
I'm not an expert on this, but I think it would not be a problem because it's not usher to eat or use Klayim. It's just usher to grow it. Once it was done, you are allowed to. That's what I would think. I can't say I'm 100% sure though. Right? But anyways, so now the main point is that if there's 3 tfachim in between each growth, then that's enough. So basically you need 1.5 tfachim from on either side of the vegetable, right? So basically if you have a patch that's 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim, right? So you have the one that you can do one in the middle.
Still davening? 1 minute.
You can grow one vegetable in the middle, right? And then you have 3 tfachim of space in between. And then it's okay. Oh, what about the corners? Right? We're saying you're growing, it's a square, right? So obviously you look at the Rashi. The Rashi has a nice little chart here. Not a chart, a graph it looks like. So the things that are darkened in are the each one is its own type. So there's 5. There's one in the middle, there's one on each end. Right? There's one on each north, south, east, west. But the corners are less than 3 tefachim away from each other. Right? The corners are less than 3 tefachim away from each other. How does that work? So Rashi says that's very clearly recognizable that that's not the same because one is going in one direction, one's going in another direction. So therefore, it's clear to anybody that's looking at this patch that it's 2 different types of vegetables. Nobody's going to think that you're grafting them together. Right? So we said based on the pasuk, so now we're on Pei Amud Aleph on the top line. You can put 5 different types of vegetables or grains in 6 tvachim, and they're not gonna get any sustenance from each other. Now this next kami, this Gemara, this next kasha, this Rashi, you can take a lot out of this next Rashi. At least the cynics amongst us for sure. And this is what I think especially with the COVID. Nalon and had the Hakim Lulu Rabbanon. And how do we know that the Rabbanon knew this? Meaning the Rabbanon are saying a Metzias, correct? Right? Again, Nalon to Hakim Lulu Rabbanon Milsa. Look at the Rashi. Just as Kedai, look at this Rashi. It's around 15 lines down in the thin lines of the Rashi. Yeah, you see it? Okay. If this Rashi gets in the wrong hands, it's downright dangerous. Right? How do we know that the Rabbanan know this? Meaning, Bashir Yanika Milsahi, how do you know that we're saying that it's not going to get sustenance from each other? To rely on that. Right? How do we know, basically, the Rashi is saying, how do we know that the Chachamim have the knowledge? How do you call it? Horticulture? How do the Chachamim have the knowledge to know that you can have 5 different vegetables within a patch of 6 tefachim, and they're not going to get sustenance from each other? Who let the Brias, who let creations know how much the shear of Yanika is of sustenance? And how can the Rabbanan possibly know this? Okay, so now for those that say the Rabbanan know everything based on the Torah, what is the Gemara's kasha? Right? The Gemara is saying very simple. How do the Rabbanan know that one vegetable that doesn't get sustenance from another vegetable? Right? We're saying the Rabbanan, are they under the ground? That's basically what it's saying. Are the Rabbanan under the ground? Did they go for training and horticulture that they know how much each thing is? I mean, if you ask this question to Rabbanan, you get thrown out of shul that you're not bikaris, no? Elamai. Rabbanim don't know everything. Yeah, it has to be within reason. I don't want to beat on this drum a little bit. But the point is that Rabbanim do have to make educated decisions. You can't just make decisions based on, okay, this is what we think, right? It has to be based on cold, hard facts. And if they don't have the knowledge, they got to get it from somebody else. That's what the Gemara is asking here. How do you know? It's very nice the pasuk tells that to you, that you have 5 different things, but how do you know that it's allowed? I don't know. To me, it was a major Rashi. Anyways, back to the Gemara.
We know this. That the first thing that they do when they're talking about thinking of psak halacha on whether a person should tainus or not tainus on Yom Kippur is, what does the doctor say? I want that opinion first, and such like that. That's a yesod, no?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true. 100% it is a yesod. But unfortunately, really the issue that I don't have, is that people have to make decisions, when they need eitzes. So they go to the Rabbanim and they go to Rebbes and they say whatever the Rebbe says. Mehechatesi. Saying you have to make an educated decision. If the Rebbe or Rabbi you're going to is not educated, he has a responsibility to say, hey, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And you have a job, or you have to educate the Ram and tell them, these are my tzadim, this is the situation, and a hin and a hair. It's not the Rabbanim that the Gemara is asking this question on almost for certain had Ruach HaKodesh. Can we say that safely? And then yet Rashi and the Gemara is questioning, how did the Rabbanan know? How did the Rabbanan know? How do they know what's going on under the ground? I would have answered, what do you mean, how do they know? It's in the Torah somewhere. It's in the Torah. Right, but that's not what the Gemara says.
I would think they would know, maybe because they lived in agricultural societies.
Oh, so that good. So then Hanami. So then that means that they
practical
have to have
experience.
That means that they have to have education. Okay, so then we're going now, Aaron Zweig, you're going on a different. Now you're going on a different thing. That means they have to go to college.
No, this is what they learned this. They knew this. I'm really surprised that Rashi had the kasha on it. That's all.
Well, it's really the Gemara. It's Rashi explaining the Gemara's kasha. But the truth is, you're right. That's sort of what the Gemara answers. So, Damar Abchia Barab, back in the Gemara, 3rd line down. Damar Abchia Barab, Amar Yochanan, Mai Dichsiv Leisasig Givul Rayacha. You shouldn't step over the boundary of your friend. Doesn't really mean step. It means that you shouldn't stretch the boundary. So the boundary that the original people put down, you shouldn't mess with it. My Govla Rishonim, what does it mean that the original people made boundaries? Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Yonasan, Dosiv, Eila B'nei Seir HaChayri, Yoshvei Haaretz. It says, these are the B'nei Seir from Chayri who dwelled in the land. Atukuli Alma Yoshi Rekia Ninu. Did the whole world live in the sky? Right? Meaning the pasuk says these are Yoshvei HaChayri, these are the Bnei Seir HaChayri that dwelled in the land. That's mashma that only they dwelled in the land, everybody else dwelled in the sky. Right? Everybody else lived in the sky. No, the Bnei Seir HaChayri were Bekiyim in dwelling in the land. You have the length of this reed that goes, that's how much an olive needs. And this is how much grapes need. Meaning they were very educated in how the ground works. This one for figs. I'm sorry, that's it. So basically they knew horticulture. They knew exactly how to do these things. That's what it means that they were Yoshvei Haaretz. So the Gemara says v'chayri. What does chayri mean? Shemarichem es haaretz. They can smell the land and they can know which ground is good for which types of vegetables. The Chivi, Amar Papa show you time in a haaretz kechivyo. The Chivi, which is another nation, they actually tasted the dirt like a snake, because a snake eats dirt. They were able to taste the dirt to know what was ready, what was good for which types of vegetables, and they were experts. So Mamela, they handed that down to the Rabbanon. So the Rabbanon did have horticulture knowledge, and therefore they can base, this Mishnah can be based on actual facts. Okay? They were called Chayri because they were free from their inheritance, from their belongings. I'm sorry. Okay, so Amar Ravasi, Aruga Toicha Vav Chutz Mikvolea. An aruga, when we say that it has vav, that's except for its boundaries. Basically, the way Rashi explains it, that each patch, meaning you had a patch, 6 tvachim or 6 tvachim. Now you had to walk in between the patches to take care of it, to weed it and to water it, right? So therefore, they needed a tefach of space in between each one. That tefach is not included in the 6. Because if it was included in the 6, then there would be a lot less room in between the vegetables, and it would be klein. The inside is 6. How much is the boundary, which is the walkway, I guess? The way that would be to say, because it's not Rabbi Yehuda. The width of it is like the width of the bottom of the foot. My time with Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda? You will drink, you will nourish, I guess, give liquid. With your feet, kagana yerek, like a vegetable garden. Ma regal tefach, just like a foot is a tefach. I mean, the width of a foot is a tefach. Af kvol nami tefach. So to the boundary is also a tefach. So that's how we know that a boundary around each patch is a tefach. Amarav aruga bechurva sheninu. But aruga, what we're talking about is bechurva. Right? How do they touch churva? I don't know how you touch churva.
Barren.
How do they touch it?
Barren.
Barren. Oh, bechurva, like that? That's what it is. Okay, someone of aruga bechurva.
Churva means in between. Hello?
A what? What is that?
You hear me?
Well, yeah, I hear you.
Churva means in between, that it's emptiness.
No, churva means, no. So the pshat is that it's talking about one.
Desolate.
Right, meaning it's one aruga with nothing else around it.
Right.
That's what it means. It means that it's in a churva, meaning you have one patch of vegetables. Normally, that's not the way it is. Normally, you have tons of vegetable patches, one against the other. Here, we're talking about one patch in amongst nothing. So there's nothing surrounded. So then, because if there is something surrounding it, then basically, if you could look at the Rashi, even though the Rashi is not talking about this. Right, the Rashi, that picture in the Rashi there has 6 patches. So it's very nice that you have patches against each other, right? But, so for the middle, it's fine, because there's more than 3 tvachim in between each one, within each patch, right? But the ones on the outside, meaning from between one patch and the other, they might have klein, because there's less than 3 tvachim, because the path in between each one of those patches is only 1 tefach wide, right? So that's what Rav is saying. Back in the Gemara, Amar Rav, aruga bechurva sheninu. We're talking about an aruga in a churva. It's by itself. Vayika makam kronis. Oh, but what about the corners? Right? What about the corners? meaning each one, because we have on the outside, you have in north, you have on the north side, you have one type of vegetable, on the south, another, east and west, another. But what about the corners? So
show us in the corner. Show us in the picture.
In the picture, well, the problem is the picture is the teretz. Right? The problem is the picture is the teretz. Well, really, no. I'm sorry. No, I just, the Shilas went to look at the picture.
Which one? I got 3 pictures. Am I 4 pictures?
Where, in the Rashi?
I have 2 in Rashi and 1 in Taisus and 1 in Rabbeinu Hananel.
Yes, and there's a lot of pictures here. The newer Gemaras have more than that, no? No, Rabbeinu Hananel. The Bach has 3 also.
I have the Bach, the Bach I have 3
right.
also. So which picture are we looking at?
Yeah, so no, because there's a Machlokes Rashi Taisus how to go about this. We're just going to do Rashi. Yeah, so basically, Va'ika Makam Kronos, you have the corners that what? Meaning, why do you have to say? Meaning, what did the Gemara just got finished saying? That it has to be that there's only one patch with no patches around it, because otherwise the outside has an issue. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Va'ika Makam Kronos, you have the corners. See, if you look on here, let's look at the Rashi's chart here. So you see in the corner, what they did is they left a space between one and the other. Right? Meaning the Gemara was originally asking, because you have the corners, that's an issue. So now the Gemara is asking, no, wait a minute, you have the corners. Why do you have to say that it's talking about Aruga by itself? Right? You can have the corners planted this way, where it's not, meaning the Gemara's Havamina, we think that you're planting the entire north side, the entire south side, the entire east side, the entire west side. Now the way Rashi is explaining the Gemara says, who says that the entire side is being planted like that? Maybe you're only planting half, and then there's no issue on the corners.
Show us a picture in your Gemara.
What?
Show us a picture in your Gemara.
Well, I mean, mine is the same old. Like, mine is the old picture. Can you see it? I'm holding it backwards. Yeah. Right? Look, you see the boxes. You see the boxes, they only go halfway on each side?
Yeah.
So that's what he's saying. Why can't you say that was the case and that's the way they planted it? Right?
I had a kasha. Why isn't the corners considered like it's to get touched? What do you mean? They're 90 degrees in the corner.
No, but you have a space of like 3 tvachim in between each one.
3?
No, if the length of each box is 6.
Let's say you have one in the box on the Durham, on the south side. Right? And then you have on the end of the box to the second box is attached. No? It's 90 degrees on the top second box.
Right.
With the top first box is attached, no?
You're saying so within each box you're okay, but when you put one up against the other, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's exactly what he's saying. Right. He was in the Havamina. He thought that it's going straight up. So then we say that it's not. It's talking about where. Oh, let's look at the Gemara. Back in the Gemara. Let's just try and get through first, and then we'll see. Samarav Aruga bechurva shaninu. Talking about Aruga and Churva. So the Gemara says Va'ika makam kronos, but there's the corners. So Amri Beirab Mishmei the Rab Males the kronos. It's talking about where he did fill in the kronos. But Enachanabi, if he didn't fill in the corners, then it wouldn't be a problem, right?
What do you mean he filled in the corners?
Meaning it's not the way Rashi's chart is. It goes along the entire length, sort of like the picture of Rashi in the Mishnah. He wanted to say it like Rashi in the Mishnah. So therefore, if you're doing it like Rashi in the Mishnah, then you have to have nothing surrounding it. Right?
Okay.
That's the way he's saying it. So let's just see. Why don't you just plant on the outside, and then you don't need to fill it up in the inside? So we say, Gezerah, Shema Yamale is Akronos, V'lo Rosh Tor Yerek. Because the problem is, if you're going to say that, then we're afraid that you are going to fill up. You are going to fill up the Kronos, and it's not. There's only going to be Rosh Tor Yerek, and it's going to stick into it, and then it's a problem. So Gemara says, "Milay Tanan ha'yer Rosh Tor Yerek nichnas soda after mutter." But the Gemara says, didn't we learn that if you have one little vegetable thing sticking in to a soda of somebody else, it's mutter of, not somebody else, but a different type of vegetable. Mutter of neshanira saif soda. So because it looks like it's the end of the field, ain't roish tor ba'aruga. So there's no considered a roish tor ba'aruga. See, it's like a triangle. The triangle sticks out, right? So therefore, it's only a problem. It's only going to be good from one big field to a small field. But to do it, to say that you're going to go from one little patch to another little patch, that you can't say, and therefore it's going to look like it's the same. Getting back to the klal that we learned in the Mishnah, that the only issue that we have with climb is not really what's going on under, it's really what it looks like, right? So, fine. So that's the way Rav says it. So Rav says that it's talking about where you didn't plant all the way across the top. You just planted halfway, so therefore you're able to, you don't have any of these issues. So the Gemara says, Shmuel Amar Aruga Ben Aruga Shaninu. It doesn't have to be one aruga amongst with nothing else around it. It could be an aruga between arugas. But they're going to get mixed together, like we said. So we say, "B'noit the shura lakan, v'shura lakan." It's talking about where you planted one row here and one row here, right? So the way Rashi says it, there's no charts here. You go on the corner, and you have in the northeast corner, and then you have in the southwest corner. Yeah? So basically what he's saying, like the picture that we saw in Amud Aleph, which is that you're pulling it away from the corners. So since you're pulling it away from the corners, you're not growing it near the corners, so therefore you're going to be okay. So they asked the Shaila in Marova, if you put one row on through the middle, meaning in the middle, we've been saying that all you're doing is you're growing one little piece in the middle. But what happens if through the middle you grow an entire row? Right? What's going to happen is it's going to get all mixed up, and it's going to be mevatel the shura. Meaning planting these 5 vegetables in one patch only works if you have it in the middle, and that's it. But if it goes along the whole row, then that's going to ruin the whole thing. It's not. Ravasi says it's not going to be mevatel the row, right? So, the Gemara asks, let's say somebody plants 2 rows of, how you say kishuin?
Cucumbers,
melons, right?
Melons.
What?
Cucumber, squash.
Yeah, no, that's diluin, right?
Gourd.
Kishuin is like
Melon.
Melons, yeah, and then shtei shura shel diluin, and then 2 rows of vegetables, shtei shura shel pula mitzri, and 2 rows of some sort of beans, mitzri beans. Mutter, that's mutter, right? So you do 2 of each, that's fine. Shura acha shel kishuin, v'shura acha shel diluin, v'shura acha shel pula mitzri, aser. 1 row of each is aser, right? So what's the kasha, right? Because it's going to get mixed in together. So the Gemara answers, "Hachadika sharacha." No, where it says that 1 row is a problem is where it's sharacha, where it's has a lot of big growth. So since it has a lot of leaves and all that, so then it looks like both of them are getting mixed up together, right? But as long as it's 2, meaning the point is that if it's 2 rows, each one is very clearly defined. So since each one is very clearly defined, we're not worried about climb. But if it's 1 row and there's a lot of grassy growth, then the whole thing is going to get mixed up together, and you're going to have a problem. Okay, so Amar of Kahana, Amar of Yochanan, somebody wants to fill up his whole garden, right? He wants to do all sorts of different vegetables. He wants to fit as many different ones as he can. So I saw aruga shisha al shisha. He does an aruga like we've been saying, a patch of 6 tfachim by 6 tfachim. Ve'uga ba chamisha u'memala karneseh kol ma sheyirtzeh. And he puts in the middle a circle of 5. Right, that's Tosis has that chart. Yeah. And then you can fill up the corners with whatever you want. Oh, but you could do Baini. So the obvious question, what do you mean? If you're going to do it like that, then there's Baini. Right in between. How you getting that? In between there's going to be no space. No, so what you do is you leave it a little bit empty. Right? Doesn't mean that you fill it up fully. All you do is you leave some space. If it's planted shesi this way, meaning across, you do it erev. You do it from top to bottom. If you do it erev, zayron shesi, then you do it the opposite, right? So there's no chart for this either. I don't know. Does Art School have a chart for this, or they don't? Right?
No.
So basically he's saying if it's a square, then you just make sure that you do one in one direction, one in another direction. Eiser Ravina the Rav Ashi. So Ravina asked the Kasha Rav Ashi, Avodas Yerek b'Yerek, Achar Shisha Tvachim, V'royin Oisam Kitabla Miravas. So it says that you could do Avodas Yerek b'Yerek, meaning different vegetables with different in one patch. After Shisha Tvachim, V'royin Oisam Kitabla Miravas, you look at it like it's one. How do you call it again? What do you patch? Kitablahu deshari halav achiyosir. Only if it's done in a box, right? But if it's done with a circle, then it's not going to work. Like Reb who's it? Reb Yochanan. So hasam lakuli bakula achrini. We want to try and make another kula. We want to allow the top of that row that comes out of there. So therefore, that's why it's saying that you could have mirubas, right? So meaning he doesn't hold of basically what we said before on the top of the Amud, that the rosh of the Torah, meaning that triangle that Rashi says that sticks in, he doesn't hold of that, right? Or Rashi says that's only from one patch to another. But if you go from one big field to a aruga, then you are allowed to have something sticking in. Okay, this is a very difficult daf to understand, but I think we got just the basics of it. And that's all. Tomorrow we start with Matan Torah Gemaras for a bunch of blot. Pretty easy blot. So that is all. I wish you all a good Zummer and a good Vach, and stay safe and keep the faith. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
You just say good and Zoomer? The Zoomer?
A good Zummer. A good Zummer. Very good. Very good.
Bye. Okay.